Okay, so a couple of interesting things I did today. I put this cable in. This is a B&M cable. I bought the 4-foot one. Now I know why they mostly sell the 3 and the 5-foot. The 3-foot may or may not have worked, but I didn't want to take a chance. But I know the Chinese ones that I was getting from Amazon were not right because the cable was the right size, but the casing was much fatter. So it was like 5/16 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch. Where this one is 1/4 inch, in total here. This is a skinny cable in comparison, but that's what you need. You don't need something with a huge casing unless the cable is fat. And then it was even harder to bend around. That's why they were impossible to move around. So this worked out pretty good with the 4 feet. I don't know if it's going to be close to this exhaust, so this may have to be moved. I didn't buy a used cable, but I bought one that was sitting for a long time, like for 3 years. It said 2022 on it. But it was a 4-foot cable, which I thought was a good medium in between because it seems like a lot of people need that. The 3-foot cable and the 5-foot cable, out of those two, if you have a very short run, the Chinese cables might work. Like if you're not bending it like this, this is much easier now. Like even 3-foot would have worked because the cable was thinner. So a 5-foot cable would have also worked. It would have came back here. I would have been able to maneuver it a little bit more, because of the length here, but, because of, how it is. But the exhaust, when it comes down, a lot of people melt these cables, so I don't want to melt it, obviously. So I may have to kind of cheat it in the tunnel here. And it does move where I want it to go. It's still questionable because of the heat rising and stuff. So I hope it's all right. I'm going to have to put some kind of heat shield. But it seems to move okay. I had to do a lot of back and forth with the adjustment. I had to grind this down with the cookie disc to get that to work. Ultimately, though, it's pretty good. But again, there was a permanent bend there and a permanent bend there. I was trying to be very careful with a heat gun to try to soften the plastic, and it really didn't want to go. It's like when it sits in the box all tied up, it's not the best thing. You want it pretty fresh, and I don't think anybody installed it, but it's possible they try to mount one end and that's why it was bent and they put it back. It didn't quite look like it. There was a little round mark around where the bolt is. I still had to put that spacer. I don't know if I made a video about this because I was doing other things in the last video, or if something I was doing with the thing with the shifter snuck in. But there's a aluminum bushing right there, and I don't have the light on, of course. Having a hard time here. Anyway, there's a maybe this side would be better. Aluminum bushing. Of course, I hit the button. Aluminum bushing right there. Okay. Whoosh, there's my finger right there. This rubber thing, unfortunately, just like it was worse with the last one, but I'm going to try to keep trying to go because, the more you try to adjust it while you're working, the more it just pops out. So I think it'll be fine like this, because it's bigger and it actually is holding in. But, in hindsight, because of where I ended up putting this, and I measured straight on, like when you look at the hole, it looks straight on, but it's because of the bushing here, this aluminum spacer I put, it actually ends up, living on the top side of the hole instead of more in the middle. So that screwed me up. I did grind it a bit up there, and this was already too big, but I was forcing it in there, which is fine. But because it's now oval, it's actually closer to the size, overall, as far as surface area is concerned. And I don't know, I misplaced my screwdriver. I was going to try to poke that in, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, I could put a thing of silicone around it. That's not the end of the world. That's going to be fine. So I want to lube this up because the roller here looks like there was kind of rust on it. Kind of looks like there was some kind of original, goop that got dry. So I think that'll help it. Also, the cable was twisted, and I did turn it. See, look, that's a lot better now because I turned the cable and then locked the little 32's nuts. And as you can see here also, ends up being the first nut kind of came off. I'm sorry, first washer. But no, the first washer kind of goes on. You can see that the two washers, they're close. But I didn't want this to fall off. Like I would have put a washer behind it. It actually might have served it well because it may have lined it up a little bit different. The other one, the Chinese one, lined up better here, but I guess maybe because I did it with that first. So I cheated it a little bit over to that side to get closer. It's a kind of an optical illusion, but it's fine. It's not really binding, and I'm sure it's binding a lot less now. It's all working good. I got to lube all this up. This thing hasn't been lubed in forever, but you could see this guy here was turned and pivoted in the hole, and I had to drill that out, just like I had to do with the aftermarket one. So when you drill it out, I use this step bit here, and I'm not quite sure if I was going, less than, I think I had to go to 5/16, but it almost seemed like it was a hair on the big side. So if you have a step drill that can get even closer, yeah, this one actually has 9/32s and then 5/16. So I think I had to go to 5/16, but it was almost like it was, it wasn't, like 9/32s wasn't big enough. And I don't see, unless it's like metric, the hole, when, like not the hole, but this thing on this Camaro, this year Camaro shifter is different than the earlier one. The other one has a more conventional clip, and this one here had a plastic thing built into the cable, which really held it on nicely and everything. That's the reason why they do it. But this first guy is not going to fall off. If I put it behind there, I was worried. See right there? That second washer, that's one after that, it falls down. It's just there for a spacer. So if I put a washer on this side, of course it would stay on, but it might float unless I made this really tight, and it's not necessary to be so tight. I mean, as it is, that's tight on there. That's not coming off. Even if this guy didn't go all the way on, the cable's not coming off. And I use this brake thing because I think that would be the best bet. AI was saying to use a E-clip, but nothing really fit on. It's kind of tapered. It's kind of weird. And then I had this idea, and then I showed him a picture of it, and he thought it was great. So that's wonderful. A robot that likes my work. So that's what I'm doing with that. And what else did I do today? I'm going to do more. Been trying to do more. Nothing has been going right. And but it's so far so good as far as this thing and the ignition lock. Let me make another video, and I'll find it and have it more prepared. Okay, so this is what I ended up doing. Because this thing was a kind of like offset here, first I was just going to cut off the whole thing, and then I go, you know what, I want to give myself a little bit extra just in case, but I don't think I'm going to need it. But you can always put a clamp on this, the whole thing, like a hose clamp, and it'll hold it on. Because the object here, obviously it's an old car. If somebody really wanted to get this thing off, because I don't even think I have the tool to put it on, I'm just going to use a little brass punch and just knock them around, or a screwdriver or something like that, like basically how I got it off. I should buy the right tool. Anyway, so this guy, I got in here, and I think I mentioned I was going to, I bought a tap, and I drilled it out. I drilled it out first, and then I bought a tap, and I threaded this in. So the whole object is, you do have to get off the original nut if you want to attempt to get it out. It becomes a new piece. And I put the lock nut there, and I made it so that the bottom of this little the aligning thing there at the bottom is going to line up with this right there. Where is it? I don't know why this phone has not worked like it used to. I got to zoom in. Okay, so that's the little locking pin. So there, the key is upside down. The teeth facing up. I wouldn't say upside down. It depends how you look at it. I just figured that was more natural because that's how the original one was. And then I'll put on the wires, and everything's going to be good. And this is going to all pretty much turn on relays. I'm not going to put direct power through here. I am going to put some power, the accessory, because ultimately this is going to turn on the the 200 amp continuous duty solenoid. However, I don't want to necessarily use that. Just in case, let's say something happens to that solenoid, I was thinking, I don't know yet, I was thinking of running the ignition through here, and the starter relay should technically still work. It depends what side the power I put it on, so like, I don't know, I'll see. I was definitely thinking of putting a radio on it, so that you can listen to the radio, you can turn on an accessory and listen to the radio at least, and maybe have the cigarette lighter work with it, you know what I mean? So something along those lines, because it could take good 30 amps of power, but I wanted it to turn on everything else, where I didn't trust the original one to do that. And the original one didn't have start. I would still need a separate start button, the one that was through the floor here, pointing zoomed in, so right there. Rather not use that, so this is going well. This all looks like all doinky and shit, but the skinny bolts that are grade 8, they're not breaking. It's very strong, but there was so many angles here, but relatively flat nonetheless, that I had all 4 of these about the same size, and it works out. This gets a little closer over here, and this is a contraption that I came up with. They have this adapter here that is supposed to go on for, let me do it separately. It comes with some locking set screws, This is 16 millimeter. It was very hard to find something that make all this work. So basically what they had for this Camaro thing, and I couldn't even find, they said that, very common 16 millimeter, shift ball. And I'm like, I don't see nothing common with that. I couldn't find one, so, and if I did, they might have been very expensive, like $100 or something like that, because I was looking at something that was 100. Anyway, that goes on there. You lock it in there, and now it slides on the shaft, and it goes there. But my idea was here. See, this guy here is an adapter that goes from 16 millimeter to half inch. This was expensive because it's like for a Mack truck. So I can do different adjustments with this. I was just trying to see, because I thought maybe it was, so I will go all the way in. It looks nice if you're not seeing the threads, and that's basically bottomed out. I don't know if you can see in there. I should have put the light on. But this one here, I'm going to need some kind of set screw to make it sure that it stays, But ultimately, okay, so the pins are not lined up. So when I go like this, and I got this nice wood handle, because there's very few things I can get that were half 20. So now you take the shifter, and now you have leverage, and you still can push down. Like this was actually originally flipped the other way, and by doing so, you are more on top of it. But I'm a little worried about all the, and that's not going to be like that with the set screws, about the AC unit I'm going to have here. So the worst case scenario, I just have to get a 16 millimeter ball. I think this looks way more cooler in a 50s car, and I might change it back up the other way around here, because then it will give you more leverage, but it's going to be way up here. Then it's already kind of higher than I expected. I thought I was going to need it to be that high. So there's a few different things, This adapter is a little bit big. It'd be nice if they turned it down, but I guess you have to hold it in order to do something. So I don't know. There's a few things, and this is not really meant. This is meant just to have a ball on it, so it's a piece of aluminum. So I hope it has some kind of longevity. I mean, the set screws are going to stop it in its tracks. You're basically attaching it. You're screwing into the plastic piece that pushes down. So, but for a girl to do it, I think that last one is always funny. I had a hard time adjusting it. I'm sure when everything's lubed, it's going to be better. And like I said, the cable, it may have to work its way in. It may have to work its way in anyway, but it was kind of older and was bent, even though it was new. It was like $100 for that cable, and it was $65 for the 5-foot one, I think, or something. Maybe the 5-foot one is actually more money. The 3-foot one was $65. I think this 4-foot one, you had to special order it. Nobody really had, and if they had it, it was like in the $85 range. So I got it for $50. It's okay, it's probably fine. This is the other thing, like the spring has got it was springing fine before. That was before I had the cable hooked up to it. So it's something to think about, Also, I was thinking about lubrication inside here. Maybe some kind of clear moly lube, like a silicone something or other. Just having a little layer on it will even help, But I think it's going to be pretty cool. I just don't know about the AC stuff. I'm not even there yet. And the other car that I had, it had a stick like this that went straight, and we had to bend it because we had to have it at an angle like this. This is kind of in the way anyway. So, and there's not a lot of room here. I have not even bought a unit to match up. I got a unit at my house. I should probably bring it. It was meant for my car, but just to figure out something. But I was thinking of it on the dash unit because I don't know if it's going to be really feasible otherwise. Perhaps the radio is to put, some vents there, utilize that hole. I mean, she's not going to have a radio at this point, but it didn't come with one. But I gather it went down here or something. The speaker was up there because there was none. So there's a lot of little things still to think about. I didn't realize how tall it was going to be. I really wanted to come back further on this. I don't even know where the seat is right now. So I think I was trying to play with it and I couldn't get it to move. So I gather it's all the way up then, So it's just, I'm hoping she can reach the pedals. So that's why I gave it a little extra room just in case, The gas pedal is an inch closer. The brake pedal is probably not going to change. I'm probably going to have to leave it under. There really doesn't seem to be enough room to really run a firewall thing, but I don't have a lot of room underneath either. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. So that's another thing. But we're getting there. Baby steps. I got wiring to do. I got a lot of shit to do. So it's still a thing. Oh, hey, by the way, brand new gas tank. The original gas tank, religious style. So all that shit I did with the fucking the dongle to make the gas gauge work was for naught because it should work now, hopefully. Other than the float being made in China. But the other thing is I haven't opened it up yet, and I'm going to run a return line because this fuel pump has a return line on it. I think it's silly not to use it. And if these cars, have a general consensus of getting hot, you don't want it to have, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, yeah, this is the return line. That's the pressure line. Yeah, what am I bought a roll of line to do this, so I'm going to put a return line in. I don't know where I'm going to put in a tank. I'm hoping there's some kind of vent in it. I don't know now if I bought. They mentioned they had a fuel cap that had the vent system built into it instead of what the original one was, which was non-vented. So that becomes an issue as well. So I'm going to have to buy that. Forgot about that. And still got a lot of little things to do. I kept taking on wiring on and off, figuring out other things. Not sure. A few things. I redid this guy. I don't know if I showed that in another video, but it's really coming together. The light harness came out really good, and the engine harness is going to be good. And the harness going front to rear, that's pretty good. I had a because now we went with this, I had to cut it open again and put the this wire here. This is the cable I bought. See how it comes out? I had it going all the way in the back into the trunk, but the original one had it right around here, which is this guy on the original harness. And I left it longer. This is in case there's going to be an electric fuel pump in the car. Oh, this is the same wire. Hang on a second. It looks purple to me in the light, but this guy is definitely purple back here. So this one is going to end up being on the outside of the car near the back of the tank instead. I was going to run I got the hiccups. Originally run it into the trunk because it had a fuel cell in there, and I wasn't even sure that they made the thing because this is the last car of all the Studebakers to get a fuel tank, and now they have them. I'm lucky. There were only 2 left in the country because there's only one guy who has them. Stephen something or other in Indiana, Illinois, something like that. The guy in Arizona tells me he gets them from him, and he only gets them when he first gets an order. He gets enough for him, so he can sell them at the same price. So he makes a little money on it. That being said, he says when they run low, he doesn't give me any. So he only had 2 left as it is, and I got one of them. So that was amazing that it just worked out that way. But $700 later, because it's expensive. It's like $500 for the tank, and then $85 for the sending unit. You got shipping. You got the rubber thing that goes to the filler neck. I don't know if they include the clamps with that or not. I didn't think about it. Told them to set me up, but so far so good. this is pretty much buttoned up. The lights, I'm pretty much settled it. I got a, I'm hoping if AI is correct, because I'm relying on them a lot, asking a lot of marketing questions, because I keep fucking trying shit on my own and it don't work anyway. I mean, they even said that this thing here, to use 6-volt bulbs and just knock it down with that this PWM thing is not really the best, because it just cuts the voltage before it gets up. You know, like it's like a pulse. So basically, the way it comes up with 7 volts is that it's pulsing 12 volts, and before it reaches 12 volts, it shuts it off. That's the way basically it's supposed to work, I think. And because it's a 6-volt bulb, there might be spikes. Not that there would be. That makes sense. It seems like it would work. But I really don't want a dial that can be easily just knocked out of whack, and then you do blow your bulbs. So I got this little guy from Drock, because I bought the other one from Drock, as he showed at the end of the last video. Hang on, let me get 2 hands on this. And of course, this guy's wrapped up, but at least it's its own thing. You just bolt it in and put the thing on. But it's the little blue thing in there is the I don't know if you can see it. It has the what do you call it? The adjustment through, so I can leave the adjustment in one place and it ain't gonna come out of whack. So I think that'll be good. So time to do more stuff, and I'll film later. So I got the new tank in. Everything looks good. I'm missing clamps. I guess the guy didn't supply them. I didn't think about asking him. I got to put a vent in this. I know that the tank is vented. I'm sorry, the gas cap is vented. They sell a gas cap that is vented, so I didn't buy it because I just figured you'd had everything here, but I'd rather have the vented gas tank. But then I go open the thing here, and I'm like, oh, there's a rubber seal here, but there's no filler neck. So I was curious if you had the filler neck anywhere. Okay, because I'm El Cheapo, and this is about $8 on Amazon, I got this little kit here, because I noticed that even though my videos really don't sound that scratchy, when I play them back, by the time I, put them together and put them on YouTube, they downgrade, and then it ends up picking up on the bad microphone that my phone appears to have, because I don't think it used to do that. But I noticed for the last, several months it's been doing that, and I guess the more I talk, the worse it gets. So let's see what happens. I guess I got to charge all these components individually, so I got one of these guys. All right, testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 4. So now I'm covering my microphone. Put that down there. This guy was on there. One of them. And not quite sure how, because it didn't give me indications that it was charging, so I don't know how that works. Wireless between it, so it's a clip on. But now I'm going to go right on top of it. And then that's really low. Oh well, after checking all these developer options and everything else on my phone, I could not get them to work. But then I noticed there was a bunch of crap inside the microphone, so it might actually sound better now. Anywho, I've been busy. I started getting this wiring harness. This thing still didn't end up in the place that I wanted it to, and I don't know why. It's just a hair short, so I'm going to make this guy a little longer. And I thought I solved the problem. I got special things like this that are going to hold it up, because it actually goes on the valve cover over there. Of course, mine is a little bigger. I'm not sure if I'm going to run it above or below this. I think below, because that one's in the middle of the valve cover right there. And then when I get here, it's down here. So I think that'll work out. I got to put all these things up. I got new clamps. I got clamps that got to hold the wiring. I put on the chassis of the car. I got a lot of stuff going on here. I started wiring in this guy here. I'm not 100% happy with these bullet connectors. I did put one of these guys for the engine harness, and that one powers the ignition, these relays, and then one goes for the alternator that I'll have on this side of the constant duty solenoid. I got, I got plugs. I got nice plugs into plugs and stuff like that. It does kind of loop around, so it kind of looks a little confusing here. But ultimately, the one from the front of the car goes here, and these guys will all go into one. These guys are turn on for the relays. So I mean, it ends up being, I got like 30 to 40 different things. I did put one of these guys in for the lights to join three together, so it's a little cleaner, and so it's part of the harness that can be disconnected. The only thing is, this is a fuel pump wire, and that goes to the back of the car. That it's not being used, so it's not even a big deal. But I did kind of wrap it in two different harnesses here. I brought both because one of them is for the headlights, the foot pedal on the high beam low beam switch, and that's the only thing I could have done differently. I should have had it separate so that everything could be removed, but it's never going to be removed, so it's like I'm kind of dwelling on stuff, and then I was thinking like some of these bulkhead connectors are really expensive, and I'm just thinking, like, yeah, this is not going to move anymore, and it's not that so much as, just want to be able to clean things up. Whoever does the interior, I wouldn't want them to be hung up for something, but it really depends, and if somebody knows what they're doing, they can take all the pins out of these things. But I may just run just regular wiring through here, because the main thing is the engine harness comes off. You can actually be able to pull out the whole engine with the harness on it and just unplug it. It's going to be that cool. So yeah, we got these wires, we got these wires, and we got these wires, and these wires all have to go inside the car, pretty much. And a lot of these are the same colors, of course, but that's why I'm labeling them now. It's kind of cool. Sorry, I got the hiccups. And still working on that. And then we got a new gas tank, as I said before. That'll happen. And I got these wires are getting straightened out over here. I got these two. One is going to be for a trunk light I'm going to install, and the other one is for the license plate light that comes all the way around. I'm going to rewire these two guys. You can still have the old wiring still on them. That's no problem. I got all these connectors and stuff like that. They're not in that, it looks like in not bad shape, the metal, so that's good. But, and also these rubbers are pretty good. But the wiring is going to be new. All the wiring underneath is new now. I didn't cut the wire down for the sending unit. I know where it's going. I got the purple wire for the fuel pump while, done up. But if somebody wanted to put a fuel pump up here, they can just easily unplug it from this, and use a bullet connector to make it work, so it can run to the back, like if you're going to put fuel injection in the car or something like that, which is a possibility down the road. Like if I got the computer harness and everything for modern 2.8 with the whole serpentine system, this can all be done. It would be kind of cool. And I even have the wire. This is what I did, because there's a wire with the key on that operates a choke through an oil pressure switch, and then I got the same power wire coming up here, and that is for adapting it to the computerized style alternators. So really cool in my opinion. And I've been busy basically with wiring. Wiring takes like the longest amount of time if you care and you are really going nuts to make everything so you don't forget anything. I probably should have made this longer, but between all that going all up everywhere, it should be fine. I should have ran it under this guy I put here. I put a ground strap here. I didn't think about it when I was doing it, but I can take it off and put it underneath. But that's the thing. I had to get these connectors and get them all up and hold everything up, and it'll start looking more like an engine. My wiring harness is just a little funny here. I really could have afforded to make it just slightly longer in this area, but the original ones are usually tight too. But I got a lot of extra wires, that wouldn't be in a GM car, let's say. Like even with this guy, this would be ran like to the heater box separately and shit like that. But I really got it all together here, and everything's going to go through the bulkhead over there. So hopefully the audio is much better than it has been. And I'll keep you up to date. So I've been doing never-ending wiring. But I got the gas tank in. I have a few problems. I have this mount, and this mount looks like it goes right to the chassis, right where I put some reverse lights. This bracket has one bolt right where the spare tire well is, and it's gone. So there's a few things missing, and I'm not quite sure if I can get them. Good news is it's pretty simple bracket to make. I'll just make something. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. That being said, I drilled a hole in here for a return line. I put it up high like that. And I bought this guy. This guy came with these things. They call these washers, ceiling washers. They said you can use these or you can use these. Well, this is an AC washer. And I said, you know what? I bet you this thing fits tight. And I trust crushing this down. See how tight that is? You know, whereas, I mean, that's really on there. If it holds AC, it can hold a lot of different chemicals and whatnot. This is very soft, and I feel like if it gets tightened down, it may not seal. And I was debating whether to just put this washer on the inside and have it, it really wouldn't be sealing, it'd be just holding it tight, you know, because you want it to grip tight. The benefit of having this thing also, you say you can really crimp this down, and the aluminum acts like a buffer, and it'll definitely hold it tight and keep it sealed. I mean, proof is the AC items that it holds, and this is tight against the threads. So this is going to work out good. I put a little nipple here to just shoot up, you know, past a certain point, you know, and the highest point, and so it's not dribbling back down, you know, God forbid, make, you know, if, you know, so you're not running fluid on the seal. Not that it's really not going to be a big deal. I just have to get it in because I can't reach my hand in there, so got to use a string or maybe the wrench will fit, but I want to tighten this guy first. I found this in the garage, which is 1/8 by 5/16, which could be fine, but it's really going to be a 1/4 inch line. So I want to try to find something that's the right size before I do it, because I want to tighten it here, because I'm a little bit afraid that, you know, and this is the Chinese fucking pipe thread, it fucking pretty much bottoms out. I mean, what kind of, like, even this guy here, I got it tight. It was all the way at the end. This thing here is like, oh my God, you know, look at that. That was all the way. Pretty much. I don't even have any threads left. I think that's the reason why it's stopping. So that's not the best scenario there. It's supposed to be something that locks in, you know. So that's always fun. But otherwise, I want to put it on first and make it tight in my hands, so there's no chance of this coming loose. I mean, if it bottoms out, it's fine. I mean, I'm going to put Teflon tape on it. That's going to help. And it should seal. I mean, it's cheap Chinese stuff. It can always be replaced if there's a problem. Not too big of a deal. I mean, yeah, you have to drop the tank in order to replace it. Maybe. I mean, to change this piece, but yeah, you'd have to pull it all out. And I really don't want to put it in this way, because I really can't hold that nut and get it threaded. It's going to be very hard. Putting this whole thing in, though, I don't see that problem using a string and getting it through. And then I can catch the nut on the outside. So it's a pretty good idea. I just hope it works out. I'm just curious with this other one here, because it came with two. Yeah, same idea. Screws all the way in for the most part. So it's a little concerning, but nothing crazy. I mean, it's still pipe thread. It's not under any real pressure. These are things I'm just not worried about. I was almost thinking, gee, should I put like a T in there and put some kind of one-way check valve and make it a vent, you know? I don't know if there's a way to make it shoot straight into the tank and then off to the side and put a tube all the way in the back there. I just don't know if that would work, but I'd have to put some kind of one-way valve, and I'm trying to think. So the gas would pressurize and come out, but it wouldn't go back in. So the tank, the cap is supposed to be vented as well, and I just got that in the mail today. It's going to be at the house, so I'll have it tomorrow. I'm wondering if the other threads were better. I don't know, which one did I screw this into? Either one? Same idea. That sucks. Why can't the Chinese make anything right? I mean, this is all stuff from Amazon. It seems good, but even their brass is a little funny. I've bought a bunch of other things, and the thing is, nobody really sells this. Um, these are straight cut plumbing thread. They tell you that it's 1/4 inch, I think, or something, but then they make this straight instead of tapered. So I mean, the only thing I do is probably run a tap in there, but then it's going to go deeper. Run a 1/8 pipe tap should straighten it out, but then I'd have to shave this off in order to reach it, or something I put in there would have to have extra long threads. So I'm sure it works. People have used them. But that's what you get. So that's my situation with the tank, and how to find some solutions. All right, so I used my AC things on both sides. I marked the top on this on the other side. I'm like, I'm not going to see it, so how to do that? So then I made this brown over here with a permanent marker, but it obviously was not so permanent. Debating, I could put like a piece of tape or something. I want to make sure everything is classified as this has to be top, or that's going to move in. Now, I did make this guy shorter, and you can see my yellow string. It's not a string though; it's a piece of wire, and I thought it'd be fine, but it actually it skinned it. So I was like, that's going to be fun to get off. And there's some at the tip as well of the thing. Probably not as much. It's probably going to dissolve, but the big piece I'll definitely get out. I'm not worried about that. But the small one, probably not so much. It's not going to do anything, and it's plenty high off the ground. It has to be 2 inches off at least, at most. But it was still too close. So I couldn't get the thing out, but it can always be bent back down. Yeah, I'll see if I can get something accurate on it. As far as height-wise is concerned, because now that I'm looking at the other one, it does. When I look live, it's right. Yeah, it's like 3/4 of an inch away from the bottom. You can tell the shadow is not like I can see the shadow, but you can hardly see the shadow on camera. So I'll get that out with something sticky or a needle nose or something. Let's see what happens. All right, got the big piece out. I knocked off the other piece off the end there. Not that it matters. See, there's a few couple of pieces there. I had to move the big piece over straight on so I can get the needle nose, because it doesn't reach on an angle. I suppose I can keep working at it, but I just assume put a piece of tape at the end and try to hold the tape and then see if it sticks. All right, so I found a grommet that had the 2 holes in it. Not sure if you can see that, but they worked out real well. You see the rubber in there. It's not exactly the same as the original, but it's the right size hole, and that pushes them on. I got the 2 wiring harnesses through. I remember, didn't I say I had 30 wires to go? And after putting in this piece, because I'm like, wait a minute, this was a male, and I just made a male for this. I'm like, did I mess up here? And because I wanted in the end to be 2 12s that were not the same direction, the 8 is by itself. So this is another one that has to go in. Maybe I'll use this area here, because that's just a plug. And I'm like, I forgot all about the directional signals, because I had the power for the headlights right here, and this is the high beam, low beam, and the power goes into there, and the power comes from the box here, and only the wires that are skinny wires turning on the relays that are going to do that. So this, once I get, this was a little bit different, and then I had it, what do you call it? I had taped it up, so it's fighting me a little bit, but I realized I have a third set of wires that's got to go in, and believe it or not, I realized that all said and done, I don't have anything for the brakes in yet, but just a brake light switch. Not the brake light switch, I have that covered, but I don't have the emergency light, for that turns on the warning light. So that'll be one extra wire that can go in with this. But I forgot all about the directional signals, and the fan wires go through here, and I believe the horn wire goes through here too. I could be wrong about the horn. I thought this black one here was the horn. That's negative there, and gotta be in the bottom of it. See, this is coming from the rear. This is coming from the front. So the horn. It's always fun when the phone decides to do weird stuff. But yeah, horn. So basically now the headlight main powers have been isolated to go through relays, so I'm not taxing the old switches because they have to stay. This powers the extra circuit, or I forget now. Actually, that says 12 volt negative. Why would I? No, I'm on the wrong one here. No, that says 12 volt negative. This was supposed to go to the ground. This was just the extra power that I had laying around. So I would hook this to a ground. I really could have just put an eye loop. I got confused, I guess. I thought maybe it was something else. I thought I was going to end up powering that with something, and I can't remember what now. That's not good. But ultimately, this all came out pretty well. A little bit of, spaghetti Freddy going on here. It probably looks worse than it actually, is. If you can go back, it looks better. Maybe not. But I know what I got here, and I know that it's better than stock. I don't like to wrap up wires. I hate to bury them. Hate to have a problem. You can't get to it. Not that I'm expecting problems, but ultimately, it's really made for the better. But, I dealt with the room that I have, which is kind of a lot. But, I didn't want to cramp it all together. But now, of course, I feel a few raindrops. So I've still got to make another stupid harness. So I'm going to take this harness off again so I can work off that, what these labels are and stuff, and then make another one to go inside. Because I'm like, I was like, why was it so easy in the end? Not that it was easy. This was a lot of pain to put all this together. But I'm like, I did not have so many more wires. I must be mistaken. And the thing is, I had this inside there, and I never made the other side of this. So, got to do it. Yeah, so ultimately, I had it right here. I'm like, I don't know how I messed that up, but I really wasn't supposed to wrap this all up before I did this, because I wanted to label these as well, because what was labeled here and labeled on the other one, this is like only part of it. I can technically jump things here, but I have to go back to the other one as well, and that will help. Yeah, it solves it to that point, but then at this point, even if it's not on this, I put it on this one like all the other ones are, then it won't be so bad. But yeah, I probably wasn't supposed to wrap this all up. I was supposed to figure that out and then go under the hood for reference of what these wires were. Oh boy. In a certain sense, yeah, no, I really wanted to, I suppose I could have made this one harness that went into the car. Now that in hindsight, and I could have saved an extra plug, but it still would have had to gone through the firewall and whatnot. But, it kind of leaves things together, gives you more options of testing points, and stuff just in case. So I'm going to keep going with what I got here. And there'll be 3 plugs, So I'll make it as neat as I possibly can and see what happens. So ultimately, I'm going to end up taking a picture of this as well to figure out where all these go to. And ultimately, this goes to the rear. Oh, no, this is not the one I really wanted to check, though. It was this one. Oh, that's interesting. Because I have the things on there. But yeah, I would need these as well. See, is I wanted to end up with the same colors on either end. And it's not the case because I'm running out of wires, but it's not even that. It's just, these are all the colors that came with these things. So like here it says, extra green circuit, and it's black. And I was putting the black onto this, I believe, but I'm not sure now. I got to figure that out. And I would just hook it up just to hook it up. Or I was debating maybe I can use it for this or something like that or that. I forgot what I had in my head, but it's not a big deal. But ultimately, this is everything that goes to the rear of the car. So the left and right signals, they're not all the same color. They're all the same colors on the ends, So I wanted to make that right with the starting point and the ending point, and these are kind of in between. And these they're labeled for the left signal, right signal kind of thing, So that was my theory behind, my thought process behind all this. Well, it's funny. God works in mysterious ways. So I went to grab this guy to make a new set of labels for this, and I don't know if I had it in the video. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm like, I made a bunch of things. I'm like, I literally misplaced it in front of me, and I found it the next day, like literally right in front of where I was working, over there in that little corner there. And I'm like, I don't understand it. So I made all brand new ones. I could not find it. I spent an hour, and I was blind. So I'm going to find out in the video there if it was just sitting there or not, because then a ghost put it there. So I got most of the stuff here, I believe, this is all for the rear lights, because I see all the ones for the front lights, for the front items, and this goes to the rear. So that's everything I pretty much need. So that's pretty cool. There might be one extra here, or one that's a mistake, and then I printed one out separately, a trunk light that I'm putting in. So I can't believe that. And of course, to make things worse, because if you're limited colors and everything, I'm trying to put blue. Actually, I try to put the real item as the thing, but it just didn't work out for a lot of them. But I did for the blue fans here, but you see, that's why I had to cover it up, because now they became white. And to be honest, if you see, this is broken here. These are pretty good things, but they don't come apart so easily, and they kept breaking on me. So I'm like, I started running out, and I had pieces from a kit that I bought, so I figured that out, but I didn't want to take it apart and start moving them around. And in hindsight, I had already cut up these guys, and I actually got this guy off, one of them off, and ultimately I could have stolen the right colors I wanted. So if anything, the way to make up for it, because if I have that completely covered up, if that's completely covered up, then when I do this, I have it there. But it's still not the right colors most of the way. But I do want to put the right colors in the car. So because these are the actual ones going to the items, other than the headlights, everything but the headlights, basically, because the headlights I'm covering under the hood, and then with the other plugs, I have just on relay. So you pull out the headlight switch, it's just going to turn on a low amperage wire to turn on the relay. And then I bought delay relay, so actually you could turn off the key. I could set it up that when you turn off the key, it goes out, but the delay also gives it 10 seconds and it goes out. I'll see. I don't know. Just thought it was neat. I saw it for sale. So I'm going to put these on and then extend the lengths of wires here, and which I'm going to have to buy yellow wire, because I think I'm fresh out unless I go with 16, and I'd rather not do that. But then again, see, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing here, because I got the left signal, right signal. There should be no there's nothing when you turn your headlights on. There's the reverse lights. So the reverse lights I wanted to leave white. I got an extra circuit for green, which I can maybe leave it out if I'm going to, leave it out of going through the firewall. Like, this is the green that can maybe go to the wire that's under the hood there, that extra green circuit. And it's going to the rear of the car, so I don't know what it's going to power. It could be an air pump. Who knows what somebody's going to put. But I just figured an extra circuit, and I have an extra circuit already with a fuel pump circuit that doesn't exist. So the wiring is there for the fuel pump. The wiring is there for this green thing. I have an extra 12 volt with a separate ground running all the way through. So I think that's what one of these wires is. The 12 volt ground is grounding the rear of the car. I could have put it to the chassis, but I'd rather not. So it's that simple. You can maybe play with it then and use it for something else, per se. What else? So that's my thought process behind all this, is to put it eventually back to the correct color wires. But the more I think about it, maybe I see this is hard to remove. I beat up the other one, and I finally did get it out. But I could technically get at least this many more colors. Like, I don't know how many reds I had, but again, though, it has other colors that they're going to end up transitioning to, so it's really not a huge deal, So, I got these things that you can crimp. They don't come out the same when I do it versus them. Even though my crimps are good, the crimp on these things are very precise. They got to wrap around this thing. This is what I did, and it's really not. It's not what I would call really proper, where I just don't want any loose ends at these plugs. The whole point of putting the plugs is to get something better. As you can see, it really doesn't even wrap around the wire. I was trying to smash it. I mean, it came out relatively... Wait a minute. This is not the one I did. This is a factory one. Anyway, I had done one of them. Was it this? No, I might have used that. That was the only ones I used, I think, but I don't even think so. No, I took them out again because I ended up, because I ended up using the other ones. I took the red and I added red to red, because I prefer, the factory made ones. They're going to be better. Is this it? Nope. I don't know what happened. I know I had crimped something, but it didn't come out so hot. So who knows? Maybe I cut the end off and tossed it. But I didn't toss out all this other junk, so probably not that. So I may have to buy a roll of wire. Probably wouldn't. There's only so much you can do sometimes, but the yellow is something for parking lights, and it's not even necessary in this case for this thing. So hopefully the sending unit, all that stuff, I have the color wise. Sending unit, it can be a lot. I put a 14 gauge wire, but it can be way skinnier. So that's something. And there might be something else I can get away with a thinner wire, but then I'd have to open it up anyway. But I wouldn't open it up. I would just splice it on whatever I got here, make it work. But we'll see. Okay, so in the end, this is what I made a mistake on. I forgot, because a lot of this is going to the rear, and some things like the fuel pump, I veered off and put it directly to one of those things. This was supposed to go directly to one of those things. That's why I had it in there. And then I realized it was supposed to be the green circuit, but the green circuit is actually going here, which actually goes to a green wire. So, do I put it here now? Because this is a ground. So I can just put this with an eye loop, because the only difference would be if I swapped, I would have just ended this right here. I would have gone right here to that spot, but I can wrap around and come this way with this one. Thing is, this one here would have been the ground anyway, and it would have just grounded. I would have had an extra lead here, and that's my brake light switch now. For the warning light. That's the circuit that I'll be using probably. So I just got to figure this out. I basically just got to bring a wire from elsewhere and wrap it into here. So probably reverse lights are settled now. This is just the ground. So I mean, I can technically just put an eye loop on this, because this has to go to that other green one as well. I hate to take it apart and fuck it up, but we'll see. I'll take it apart, maybe swap the pins so that this one does go to the ground like it's supposed to, and this one goes in here for the green circuit. Maybe I can take it out of here again and put a different end on it, and then put another green guy here, or whatever color I want. I don't want to change it on both, just one if anything, but I'm debating whether I do that. I'll just probably cut it and put a connector, or just extend the length of wire going down. It'll wrap around and come around, and that'll be a wire that goes there. That being said, how else can I do that? Yeah, if I want it to be part of the harness per se, then I should do it that way. If I don't mind a secondary wire just coming up and going into the dashboard, that's fine. If you had to pull this apart, of course, there's one wire still connected. So I might just put one of these connectors on it as well, just so I can, unplug it at ease and deal with that. No big deal. Okay, since I have extra pins, I got it out. It was, it is, I realized that these green ones are better than the orange ones. The orange ones are the ones I break. Besides fixing that, Amazon or whoever's selling it, actually, you should really put 8 separate colors. One black, one white, pink and orange, and yellow and blue, and then a green and a white, That would make so much sense, and then even more colors on the other one. Because, putting the same colors twice, it does make it a little bit harder. And I didn't want to associate a power one with a black You know, especially since any of these can plug into any of them. Really, technically, you know, I like Anderson connectors. You know, but you know, in a certain sense, I could have probably used one of the two-prong plugs. You know, like I did with the headlights, but that was more cut and dry. Definitely going to the lights. But so I have an extra green. I'm going to make the green with that, so it goes directly into that harness. And then this guy I'm going to remove, and this is going to go to the brake light switch, you know, on the bottom there. And I don't. It could literally be any wire that I put in there. It's 14 gauge now, but I might as well use the space that I wanted to anyway. So that way I have everything covered, and I'm only putting 12 wires in one thing. I'm not adding wires to it, since I realized I could leave that guy out and directly, you know, ground. Obviously, I got another ground. Another. Anyway, that's where did I go? Either I make this into a ground, or I have another black one. Probably I can make. I would have even just made this black, but it doesn't matter. It's you know, like I was thinking maybe I'll make another one, you know, put two black ones instead, and then put it to an eye loop for grounding. I'll see, you know, and that way you can still unplug it as a ground, but you just don't want anybody to fuck that up. But I don't think it's a problem. This here, whether I cut it at the green, I'm not sure, because I think I'm out of green wire too. And it's 14 gauge wire. It doesn't need to be. I just use a whole bunch of my. Trying to think what color is that wire usually. It's usually like a skinny brown wire, which, you know, at least it'll add to a different wire over here. You know, you'll see a brown wire going into it. So I think I'm going to just go with the brown wire. I'm going to see. It may also be a gray wire, which I don't think I could find the skinnier gray wire. I couldn't find the skinnier white wire. So I may use the. I got to look at the little pigtails. Some of them are just black wires anyway, but I think they were usually brown. So I'll probably just go with that because it's familiar then, you know. Not that this is a GM car, but it's a familiar thing to see. So yeah, I'll probably cut it here and splice on the brown wire, make it extra long, or maybe I'll put one of these Anderson connectors on it. You know, maybe I'll put the Anderson connector here because it really doesn't matter what this color is. It'll be, I'll put down brown wire to, you know, to brake light and something along those lines. You know, I think I can do that even if I ended up using this, perhaps, and then putting this one to a ground, adding a black to it so I don't waste the wire. This will, in turn, be a little bit longer than, I'm not sure. We'll see which way I go. That's the pin. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, a couple hours later at least. So this green wire that I pulled out of there that was here, then I now put this one. This one, I put the proper connection, I put a loop on there, and this one is the green that's going to go to the green circuit. So we kind of keep the colors there. And this is green coming out of here, but it says brake light warning brown 16 gauge. So it's a thinner wire here that's going to go there. And I put the same color wire on this side. I figured out all the wires in the car. The only thing is, like, both lefts and both rights are both the same color. As far as, I'm sorry. Yeah, both lefts and rights are the same color for front and rear. So I may want to make something that says, you know, rear as opposed to front. But now I got to tape this up. And, I mean, up to a certain point. And you always see, you know, somebody told me, oh, yeah, I call painless wiring. Or this guy in California charged me $150 for a Chevy truck. I'm like, yeah, it's a Chevy truck. This is a Studebaker. It's like, that's not going to help you, you know. If you really want to write, you got to learn how to do it yourself. But you also got to cut so much extra wire, because if you cut it too short, then you got to make another connection. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not professional, but, you know, if you have too short, then it's just another step. If it's too long, you just snip, do what you got to do, and that's it. And so there's a lot of waste that goes on. You know, I ran out of several, you know, rolls already. You know, the orange one, I did 14 gauge. I was running low, but I probably should have left it alone. But I could have just very well as easily just used 16. But I have 14 running to the back, so if anything, and that's just it. This is the trunk light circuit. this is positive, it may also be the dome light circuit as well, So at least then, the wire has some integrity, and then the branches can have less power. Although there's no power coming out of here. This is just going just to the trunk. So I don't know. It just, I probably could have just done the 16 gauge, but it was a separate color anyway. And then I figured all the dome light stuff and everything I'll run with this. I wanted to put maybe a map light. There is a map light button, but it didn't turn on anything. So I don't know if that was just the dome light or what, because it doesn't say dome, but nothing worked, so I couldn't tell. The switch works, but when I get to that point, at least I've done this side, this part. But I crimped everything. I put all the heat shrink tubing. I mean, whenever you almost run out of all this shit, Oh, I just ordered more. And now I'm going to start taping this up. And when I get into the car, I'll probably put little stickers on some of the things that are important. So we'll see. Let's see. I can smell it. Yeah, you can kind of tell it's yellow. It's time to do the gas tank. Okay, fast forward a little bit. It's not like I can hold a camera, but I used the wire wheel. I got all the metal pieces that were under the tank. I'm going to change the line too. It's not so much there was some dirty gas in it, but it's 5/16, and I want to go 3/8. That's what the original GM engine is. And actually, the gas tank looks like it is 3/8, but I could be wrong. It's straight. It doesn't have a little bellow on it, so it's hard to say. And I just hit my head on that fucking thing for the 18th time. So now I put tape under here. All these are all the holes that I put in, and I just hammered this to straighten it out. I loosened some more of this shit up. I'm only so much I'm going to go, but I'm going to buy some bed liner paint or something like that, and it'll just kind of all blend in. I wire welded it. I did the best I could for right now. I mean, it's not my responsibility. This car is very clean, though, I must say. It's very solid. There's no real rot on this car, which is crazy. But I don't have the cap for this. I don't have the bracket for the gas tank in either place. There looks to be one place, but I haven't mocked it up yet because I want to do this first. So I'm going to fill all these with epoxy right now, where I have the blue tape underneath, and let that dry. And go get the trunk paint, the trunk bed liner paint or something like that. It'll kind of blend with this and have the same kind of texture, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like it's ready to come off, but it's harder than you think. So there was a huge chunk of the stuff in the corner when I did the wiring harness there. I made the hole a little bit bigger for my harness, but I mean, it was gigantic. It was made to level the freaking trunk, And these look like drain holes. They look original. There's 3 there, there's 3 here. And maybe one of these, I'm not 100% sure. It kind of seems like it. And I don't quite know what to think about it yet. But it looks like I used one of these holes, and I'm kind of thinking I used this hole and not this hole. So, because it's the same size as the other ones I drilled. Yeah, I think that was a small hole. I could be wrong, though. I don't know. I might just I might just put epoxy in both of them. There's a hole in the wheel well here and everything for the drainage as well. So I'm not terribly worried about drainage. But you can always drill through and make the hole. I'd rather get it done now as far as the epoxy is concerned, because it may not get done afterwards. So see what happens. So I'm going to pack it in for the night. Did a lot. Took a long time, but took a long time to dry. It's still not dried, so I'm not putting anything in the trunk just yet. I got 2 bolts in there, and the only original bracket that was here was this guy. So that's in, that's giving me a frame of reference, and I had to take out the reverse clout I put in. So there's a bracket that supposedly goes like this, and a little curve here, and it comes up a little bit, I believe, and it holds it from underneath, where the other 2 kind of hold it from the bottom. You see that, it's relying on these washers here, so I don't know if I'm going to put a bigger washer or something like that. But you see, it has that thing that's welded to it. That's a reinforced plate. It's meant to hold the weight, so you can see it here better. You know, this other side was like some kind of spring-loaded bolt. I'm not doing that. You know, I suppose I could have made it so that I slipped it over, but I don't know how it's going to really go in. As it is, it's going to be hard to tighten those probably. But you know, you can get a wrench in here. It won't be that terrible. So I don't see it being a problem. It doesn't really. What I don't understand is that it doesn't touch, or it does touch actually when it goes up. At least in the back, I'm thinking it has to in the front. And I tried putting it up all the way. I should have done this with my camera before. It's hard to say if it's supposed to. I mean, I gather it's supposed to, so I might have to enlarge the holes on that bracket to make it go up more, but I opted to not do that, and the reason for that is there might have been some kind of insulation piece, because it kind of looks like there was, and now I'm having second thoughts, because you would think that it would go all the way up, but I don't think it's going up on the other side either, oh, there we go, hang on a second, maybe that was the ticket. Thing is, it may be in the front, the back, but not the front. So the reason why I was doing what I was doing, because when I put it up, I'm looking at the back of the tank, you know, and believe it or not, right now I'm looking at the tank when I have it up all the way like this. It seems straight at the time, but it does kind of look like it's going up more on that side, so I might need to go up. So then maybe I will put it on the other side of that bracket. I just don't know how I'm going to do it exactly. It's not as easy then, you know. But I probably should have just elongated those holes. I was trying to make it perfect the way it was, but I was holding it with a jack, and I wasn't satisfied with the way it looks. But I think this thing was caught on the chassis, and it kind of threw me off. So always more shit to do. I wonder how much I can move that. I just don't think it's going to be right putting it on the other side, because it's made to go flat on that, and it's actually made to take the load in the front here with that extra piece. So shouldn't be a big deal. And then the weight is holding on top of the bracket as opposed to the other way around. So trials and tribulations when you don't have the fucking parts. Now that I'm holding like this, you know. See, I wasn't sure which way I was going. See, when I hang it down, I thought I'm going to be hanging it down, and it doesn't make any sense. It has to be up against. See what happens? You stop to think and look instead of just going gung-ho. Yeah, those are elongated holes that it just has a movement for side to side, but I have a feeling the original one might have had it elongated the other way, so you just don't go in and out, you can go up and down as well. That makes the most sense to me, but for some reason I did it like this because there was some issue, and I don't know, I think I did it by a rough measurement going this way, because when I lift it all the way up, it seems almost like this side is already higher than the other side, you know, or it's about even now, you know. So I'll have to take a better look. It's hard to say. There are holes. So when I lift it up, that goes against it. This one's just shy. These two go flat up against it, and it's not touching. But you see, that one is supposedly right, because that was the original bracket. There's no way. So I don't think it goes up against it. Because all these three are actually pretty freaking even, just letting it go like that. And then these are further away because it's hanging down, but when I lift it up, these go, but maybe it doesn't need to be lifted up all the way. Maybe it needs to be, like these are. Because now these are even more. That's so weird. Like I said, I don't know if it's some kind of cushion that they had on this tank or something like that. It definitely seems weird. But it's funny, have I lifted all the way up? These two are tight. This one's just a little bit further away. I don't know. Yeah, it is. These are clearly flush, and this is not. So I would assume that it's not correct as far as the height is concerned. But what's making it, like when I let it go? If anything, it's tighter now. Unless that nut is going to tighten so much more. No, I mean that little bit right there. Then again, I don't know. Okay, it's on some kind of. See, it's not flush. When I go up in the back, it's flush, but then that goes down. So. I got a little tighter. What did I do? I'm mistaken a lock washer for a regular washer. I need to put a lock washer. So yeah, that one wants to go up. That one wants to bottom out there, but I'm not seeing this one bottom out. Maybe it needs to be hanging down like this so it'll be even. Maybe just like that much, because then it makes it a little tiny curve, which I've seen on a picture already. It's not so bad. But maybe it just needs to go up that 1/4 of an inch, and the front is the way it is. Because, I mean, you're not talking about a lot. And if I lift it up in the back, it's going to come down in front. So, but it kind of seems like the same amount of spacing. Very odd. But this side is obviously down more. Pretty much the equivalent of putting the gas tank on the other side of the bracket, which it sucks when you don't have the stuff and it's like the owner didn't really think about saving it. I'm one of those guys that if I knew that I might put the original tank back in, I would have told him to save it, But it's hard to find these things, but they're very simple. It's just a really regular bracket, and this is almost flat with a little bend, so it's not the end of the world. That one would have been more difficult to figure out what the hell it was. But I always thought these things would be mounted flush on the, on the thing here. But maybe I'll get some pads. I don't know now. I really don't. Said when I lift it up on this side, I can go flush, but over there, no way. So I don't know if there was some kind of heavy ass, thing, but ultimately, I got got the taillights in during the week, and I got all the front headlights put in, so it's looking like a car again. I had to redo the headlight things because they were not right. And what else? And I fished through a bunch of wiring. I got another guy to go through that hole right there. So I got something that came in the mail today. Tomorrow's my birthday. I won't be here. I'm still working on somebody's boiler instead. Yes, I can fix a boiler too. So I'm going to try to see what I can do if I can get done early. And I'll play with the wiring then. But also some of the gas tank here since I started it. I got this gas thing in the mail today while I was here. I got a new bushing for that. I got to make a clamp that fits it to fit in that smaller hole that was next to there. And obviously, we're missing this cap here. I realize. So, got to figure this out. I guess that has to be done. But like I'm always used to a gas tank being up against the body of the car, so I don't know. Oh well. All right, it's been a while since I've worked on the car. A good, I want to say 5 days. It's Friday, and I think I worked on it Sunday last. As you can see, I got the new bushing in there, and I got I got this guy in, and you can see there's a new bolt sticking out there, holding it on. Which I didn't have these brackets, but I made everything. This is just a muffler clamp, of course. And it worked out pretty good. 2 1/4. I bottomed it out all the way. I had these big brackets. I bought these brackets on Amazon. 6 or 8 of them were in the box, and ultimately I bought them for the radiator, thinking I would get my guy to TIG weld them on to the thing, but I didn't really need them. I just bolted on a much smaller. These are huge, actually. These are pretty darn huge, and as you can tell, because this guy here, I had to take it off, because you remember I had it on this bolt here, which still doesn't really impede it. I can put it back. There's this, because of the bracket here that I made for this, and I did end up going on the other side of this. I hope you can see it, because I'm just reaching over, and it actually worked out really good. It's completely safe, because the tank is on top of it. Like I said, I didn't care for that, because you had to bolt it on somewhere, but the spacing got better once I did that, as far as the air underneath. There's air in the front, the front is right, so either the tank is, not made exactly to spec or what, but these are closer. They're more up against the holes that were in the trunk that I was showing you earlier. But I took these same brackets, drilled 2 holes, used the bumper thing here. I drilled it elongated here, and now these guys are gonna go like that. And it's actually in a better placement. It's closer to the straight back, angling back, so you can actually use them for seeing. And I think it's going to work out really well. And the wire is right here. It's not impeding anything I just did with this. As far as this is concerned, I can kind of move it a little bit. This rubber is a little soft, I want to say. So that's one thing right there. So, but it looks like it's all together now. The exhaust, unfortunately, is not going to fit, because somebody run the exhaust without the tank there, so it's kind of hard to really tell, what you're doing, to make it. Nobody told them, watch out for. I'm gonna put a new tank in a few years. So, of course, they had nothing to work off of. So I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to bolt this guy in, and it's going to work out well. I think this is very good so far. So after installing them, I was looking down, and it looked like it cleared, but it obviously does not. That being said, it might be just fine. It was an option to have them, but that's not too bad. They're even, but you know what? The good thing about this is all I have to do is just put spacers and let it come down. I can put an inch spacer and a longer bolt, and there won't be any issue here. I'm supposing, though, now that I think about it, if I'm going to have to elongate that hole all the way to make it 5/8, 7/16 thread all the way. I'm kind of thinking if I flipped it over, I'd have to swap each bracket on the other side. If I flipped it down, that might give me the distance I need, actually. So that's something to think about, too. If I put it on this side, it'll be too far forward, yeah. Always tweaking and shit like that. The thing is, an extra inch would come down here, and like I said, when the car gets towed, or if it has to get towed, I just didn't want it to hit anything here. I think it's pretty safe, but this is the most delicate thing at this point. I suppose when the new exhaust is here, it might hit first, so that's one thing. I'm not sure about the other side. I think it's pretty safe. The thing is, he also wanted to actually do its job, So it's something to think about. I may have to lower it down. I'm really considering now flipping it over. It might be the right way to go. So many things with this car. I had these 5/16 and I drilled it out to, or they were 1/4 inch. I drilled them out to 3/8. So that worked out good. I got 2-inch bolts because the other ones were just too small. And then the bolt here, I had to rotate it on the flat spot on the top and then tighten it. And then that, I was just able to get it open end. It does spin. You can't get the closed end, of course, on it, but I got the open end to hold it. But then, because they're flange nuts, I had to turn the bolt to get the flange nut tight. I was turning the top, so I wouldn't need just two inches to do it. No big deal. And then I put this guy in the wire. So that looks pretty good. It's just clear. It's just even with the top here. So it should be fine. And so I'm going to do the other side, but like I said, it depends where you're standing. Like, I didn't realize how I was not. See, like right here, I'm just about even with the bumper, roughly, and you can tell the top is just barely covered. But it's gonna shine nice. It's gonna, overall, it's in a better spot than it was. So I like it. Put a longer bolt, and then I put a little thing there to hold the wiring. Looped it around. Got this side on. Did the same thing with the bolt over there. So it's proper spacing, or the same spacing at least consistently. And these brackets, you could probably bend them and tweak them a little bit if something wasn't right, but they look pretty good. It really looks nice now. It's a really good place. The way I had it wasn't bad, but it was interfering with the gas tank and whatnot, so it would have hung a little bit lower then. So this is pretty much where it needs to be. I don't know if this side looks like it's down more than that side. Not quite sure how that goes, but it could be just an optical illusion. Could be the way the bumper is. I mean, that bumper actually, it looks like it's curved up right there, where that one looks more straight. So that's probably tweaked to some degree. It's funny because this one is not tweaked. It looks like it's down further. This one is possibly tweaked. It's about right. Because it didn't. I didn't even realize the bumper until now that I'm looking at it. But it's not really that bad. I mean, it's really what you're gonna get for what I've been doing. The miracle that I'm making with this car. And I attached the wire here, and I ordered one. They make them new now, so I just gotta put the gas cap, and of course gas in there once I get the fuel line on. I'm gonna run all new fuel line, by the way. I took off all the old stuff, although I might have not taken it off over here, or did I? Yeah, I guess. It's still connected here, but even though it's not that old, I got aluminum line all in one piece, so there's not, not all these junctions. And, I don't know if I'm going to run it any differently. I think it was run through there, that hole up here. So now I might be able to do that because, I couldn't do it. Obviously, you can't do it, obviously, when you have that, but I would have to, I gather, make the flare on the car, which is not a huge deal. Thing is, I want to run a return line as well. So the other thing I can do is drill an additional hole for the return line. I bought aluminum line. I hope it's not going to be rough on the hole there. It's only one hole there. I don't know how it was originally run, because this seems like the original holes for these clamps, because I used the original screws. So that one's turned up, as you can see. That one's turned up probably because that's the original one, and this one was one of the aftermarket Rodriguez. So I shall see how I'm going to do this. Not quite sure yet. I could just put zippy screws in the chassis, but I don't like that it actually hangs down below the chassis at a certain point. I gather it could have been wrapped around this. I think I did this line, to
To be honest, I don't even remember, but I gather I did. Unless it was new already and I just put an end on the old tank that I changed, That I did like many years ago. So, I like using aluminum line water anyway. It's softer, and usually the rigidity causes you to leave it in places like this where it may be open. You don't get as much freedom with it. I don't know, maybe. And I don't want to run it on the inside because I'm not sure still what I'm doing with the brakes yet. So, getting close to the end of the day. So I'll probably just take out this line. Maybe I'll start running the other one just to get it in the area. But yeah, I'll see. I don't know if it looks like I can fit it through here. Is there a hole there on that blanket? It might be. I might be able to sneak it through there and then come down to this area here where that goes and flip it, the other way so it kind of points up a little bit. Just want to get it past the chassis at least. So, but now I'm going to do two, so I'll see how that works. Not quite sure if I can use the same hole with a different one and make another hole. I shall see.